Trigger warning. This episode may contain content that could be distressing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the New Earth Studios podcast, Bring Your Truth with Alex Roseman. We'll be bringing on guests that will be bearing their soul, their transformational journey from the old earth to the new earth, bringing about the balance of duality and reshifting our perspective of how we see things, because in the new earth, it's all about love. It's all about inclusion. It's all about unity. So if this is something that you're interested in and you want to put your focus in unity, unification and love, this is a podcast for you. Thank you so much and I hope you enjoy the show. Anton, brother, thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. You know, this experience that we're going to go on, the Leela Experience, it's funny because when you first came into my awareness, I was already imagining, I remember about 8 years ago when I started my personal development journey, or just a few years after I started, I remember comparing life like snakes and ladders. You know, you go up, you hit a snake, you go down, you find a ladder, you go up. And I was like, you know, this game that we're playing, and I was thinking about this sort of spirituality and how it can be combined, and you know, and I was thinking about setting up a games thing within the New Earth Cafe, like games with purpose that align, you know, with the whole ethos of what we're about. And then like the next day you showed up and you showed me this this thing that was basically what I just described, and I was like, how did that even happen? I'm not even surprised anymore. So before we go into all of that, of course, it'd be really great to kind of start from the beginning, who you are, how did you go into this journey, and how has this basically been part of your transformation?
All right. Thank you for welcoming me, Alex. From the first day I saw you, it was the inner feeling that we somehow connected. Even, you know, like when we first met, I was with my son, which is newborn, and his name was Alex as well, so I was surprised. How was this connection in the universe happen? Coming back to my story, from the childhood, the whole my life, I was trying to find, and I was feeling that there is something more than the logic. I was trying to find something which is we cannot explain in some mathematics, statistics, or some logical methods. My journey started when I was around 15, when I started to get into the different type of the knowledges. And in 2014, when I started to lead, I was a general manager of one online university where we develop the human being in the different directions, including the knowledges from the inside, from different angles on the human being. Then I discovered that a lot of tools which allows people to understand themselves exists, but not all of them are yet known by a lot of people. And then I was digging, and one day I found something which allowed me to understand that this universe, or this life, or this game of life which exists, is predictable, or allowed to be predictable in the manner where, or if we understand that we are the one who create this reality. I found this knowledge, the Vedic knowledge, which called Leela, the Leela Experience, in 2015 when I first touched this knowledge, and then I first entered myself and tried to go through this, as you said, snakes and ladders, but it's not snakes or ladders, it's snakes and arrows. In the initial version of the Vedic knowledge, there was only snakes, the white snakes and the red snakes, which the white snakes brings you up and the red snakes brings you down. And same as like in the game of life. Because what we are doing here is we are playing our game, individual game, because everyone is unique, everyone is playing his own game, and the energies which we bring as a soul with us to this physical body allows us to be unique, allows us to achieve whatever we decided to come and achieve, whatever goals we decided to do here. So the first entrance, the first step which I made was 12 hours process. And I entered the first process, my own process, after 8 hours of trying to enter it. And then the first touch, I didn't understood that much what happened, but after that, I found out after 1 year that my life completely changed from what I had before. I didn't realize what happened, to be honest with you. And then after 1.5 years, when I found myself in the completely different reality, I made a second touch. A second touch with this knowledge, where finally I understood that this is what happened. This is what allowed me to look into my patterns, to look into myself, to look into my attitudes, approach, and change it inside the short game, like 10 hours, 8 hours, which changed completely my life in 1.5 years. Not saying that whatever desires I had that time, they completely been executed in this period of time. So, and then I started to dig. I started to engage myself. I started to learn. I started to search what else can be known from this knowledge. I was digging, I was digging, I was digging. I found teachers, I found the master who showed me the path, who showed me the way. And then finally in 2022, I was initiated in India. I was initiated in the mastery of this knowledge, in the land where this knowledge came from currently. So, make the long story short, all my life was about something which was not really clear by my mind. All my path, all my life was about share with people some knowledge which allows, and I practice it myself, and that's why I like to share it with other people and see the results and see the reaction and see the life changes which happening with all the people who enters the process and who allow themselves to honestly talk to themselves inside the process.
What is it that triggered you to start this journey in the first place? Because for me, you know, there's a certain void we grow up with, right? And our void becomes our dharma, ultimately. You know, the universe abhors a vacuum, and there's a void within us that needs to be filled. And so many people are trying to fill it with the very things that the old earth paradigm, right? That we live in this paradigm, and we're trying to fill it with comfort, material wealth, or something. Yeah. Something material, but it's got nothing to do with that. As I'm now come to that full realization of tasting the opulence of what tip top of even what Dubai has to offer, still something is not right. And I've broken it down to a process myself, and I'm going to be bringing that into a webinar on the 20th, because there's this date, Pluto leaving Capricorn, that is an auspicious time, but full details later. But coming back to you, the void that I had to be filled by something far deeper, which is obviously, for me, the divine, right? In the manifestation of how that's shown to me. So for you, what triggered that void? What was it you were seeking? What was that void within you?
One of the ways which all the situation happened with me, showed me, is to balance or to find this balance between the material world and the spiritual world. You know this sign yin and yang, which shows the balance between black and white.
Duality.
Yeah. There was a time when I was dividing spirituality and material world. I was for 15 years, I was having a businesses in my country. I was less spiritual, more business guy. I was going to the different exhibitions. I was having the best top 3 business in my region. I was moving in that direction very hard. But then I found out that there is something, I just found the person who showed me there is a spiritual part of all this. And I jumped inside with all my passion inside this spirituality. And then I've lost all my material things. 1.5 years inside the spirituality, I forgot about the material world, and I've lost all the material world. And then in that moment, it was painful, to be honest, but in that moment, my consciousness was ready, or my mind was ready for this to understand that spirituality and material world is a part of me, both. So this was a trigger. The trigger was to find or to understand that there is no black and white separately. There is no good and bad separately. All these parts exist together, and all those parts are part of myself.
What was the pain for you? You said it was pain.
Yeah.
So when the material dissolved,
Yeah.
and you're moving towards the spirituality, what was the pain exactly?
From the angle of finding the spiritual world or spiritual path, there was no pain, to be honest. There was just a boring business life, you know, when you have all the money but you do not have happiness. From the perspective of the spiritual part of myself, there was a pain when I understood that if you are going very deep into one direction, you are losing focus on other direction. When you are going to another one, you are losing focus on that one. So the pain was from the both sides, saying that in the different moments, in the different steps of my journey as a human being, I found that I'm learning to merge my reality into one reality and to find how I want to act, how I want to go, in which direction and with which tools of my energies, my soul, my spirit.
So all alignment. Do you feel like you're there now?
I feel I'm on the way.
What is in the way now?
What is in?
What is in the way right now for you?
The more I discover, the more I understand that we know nothing. The more I dig up the knowledge about ourselves, my structure, about abilities, the more I understand that we are kids who are trying to evolve to ourselves. Most of the times we are talking about the evolution. In my way, I'm trying to think about involution, where this game of life is kind of journey back home. But the purpose of this journey is to get emotional experience and to get experience which we will take back home, where we develop this journey for ourselves, playing this game, going through good situations, bad situations, hard, complicated stuff, businesses, game of money, game of thrones, game of spirituality, delusions which we having about ourselves, vanity, different anger, different emotions. And all this part of the whole picture.
You notice It's funny because, like you said, there's something that's in the way, and usually what's in the way is us. We're in the way. There is something about us letting go of the old earth that it stops us, prevents us from getting into the new earth reality. And it's usually, and I'm coming down to this model quite simply, the SAD technique, it came to me from some divine thoughts, you know, like a thunderbolt cracking open, like what? That the old earth is ultimately SAD, the SAD, which is quite fitting, you know, SAD, where we are suppressed because we're attached and we're dependent. So when you're in that strangulation, you can never really be free because most people are all living within the matrix or the old earth. So what is that definition for you? What is that you feel? Maybe you're suppressing yourself in some way. Maybe there's something you're attached to, or you're dependent on something.
We need to be very careful with these explanations because for the people who are yet on the way to wake up, the definition of new earth and old earth will be like a good or a bad.
I don't see it as duality. It's about insight.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in the old earth, you're living in the duality. New earth is about unification. Duality, oneness.
Yeah.
So it depends on our perception of how we perceive the old earth and the new earth. It's not good or bad. That's not what this is about. The new earth is about unification. It's about making two become one, as Yeshua said. So stepping out of that, because right now you're in the old earth, potentially, because you're still that seeking place, like everybody pretty much is, right? I mean, everybody watching this is, you know, ultimately in the old earth. But there's a modality here that has aligned you to a frequency that is helping you, like a map, to get into the new earth within.
Exactly.
Dissolving the duality. But you said it yourself, there's something that's preventing you from getting there. So what is it from the model? Like, let's say, what are you depending on, you know, right now? Is it because you're working, you have a job, and you need to keep your life going? So you can never truly be free, because then if you were to express yourself, maybe you'd risk that job, and you're attached to something, not sure what it is. So you can never truly be free because you're in this, you know, strangulation, this triangle, and there's a bridge that we need to go over. And ultimately, this is your bridge. But in order to fully embrace this gift that you have, that will be shown on the screen, there is something that you're holding on to in the old earth.
Yeah. Maybe 2 years back, I was having these thoughts that I need to quit my job because this is, for me, the job or the business I do now is the first place where I am as a top manager working for some other company in life. Because before that, I was having businesses. Lots of benefits and lots of complications in both. When I was initiated in the mastery of Leela, when I was going through this journey and through all this path, I found out that, as you are saying, on the new earth, there is no separation. And in that moment, I realized that me, as a soul, came to this earth to gain some experience. Why I'm denying what I love to do? Most of the times, people are saying, do what you love and you will be happy. To be honest, I found another formula for me. I love whatever I do. It doesn't matter I'm doing in oil and gas, my role as a director of the department, or I'm doing spiritual practices as a guide, or I'm at home with the kids as a father, or with my wife as a husband. I'm enjoying every moment and loving whatever I do. Even if I clean the kitchen or clean the dishes on the kitchen, I'm enjoying. Explaining myself or feeling myself that everything which I do and which comes to me as some experience is something which myself, I created for me. To take something from it, very important for me to move forward, to grow myself, to understand myself, to find myself. And then I stopped to divide, and I stopped to consider parts of me as a separation or a segregation. I unite all my strengths, weaknesses, all my goods and bads, all my blacks and whites, all my moon and sun, into one simple idea. I'm here to enjoy whatever I do. When, from this perspective, we are looking into the journey of life, every step brings another opportunity. Every meeting with new people or anybody who comes or everybody who somehow we touch shoulder to shoulder has significant impact on the path. And that's what I believe. And that's why whoever I meet on the way in my life, I'm sharing whatever I have, the gifts I have. Would it be my business experience? Would it be my excellence experience? As I get 3 excellence awards from different sheikhs in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai. Would it be my business experience in my previous life? Would it be my spiritual experience? Would it be my social experience, emotional experience? Everything I have is kind of gift for someone, and somebody has a gift for me, so we are just sharing whatever we have.
When you say sharing the gifts, I mean, obviously this is, the whole point of this is for you, people to connect to know you and to understand what the Leela experience is. So if you were to say, I mean, would you say that this experience, this Leela experience is what ultimately led you to this place now and who you're still becoming?
I don't think so. I believe that coming back to the Leela itself, to the Vedic knowledge, which will be shown on the screen, there is Vaikuntha Loka, which is the highest consciousness, the cell number 68. From the perspective of the Vedic knowledge, in the 8th level of this canvas, we are yet a soul. We are looking into this world. We are planning what needs to be done, what needs to be go through, which experience needs to be taken from there. We are agreeing with other participants of this big theater. And as I said before, everything have an impact in the proper time, in the proper place, with the proper people. No matter it's painful experience or it's great, excellent experience and very happy experience, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens in life happens for the purpose for us to find the path or to find ourselves, to growth. Without pain, you cannot understand what is the happiness. Without happiness, or only having happiness, you will not understand how you act in the pain. So, what brings me to the moment now is my nature, my energies which I took with me as a soul, and the way I plan to go. It's all happening step by step. I'm sure that the tools which exists, it's not only Leela there, lots of different ways, or the different ways how to come back, how to find the God inside of ourselves. A lot of ways. All of them are fine. all of them are correct. For the different people, you need a different language. So for me, what brings me into the moment now is my passion. I still believe that any yoga is passion of doing anything you do. When you passionate about your life and do whatever, drinking tea with the passion, that means you are connected. That means you are feeling that this moment is important. And that means that I am united with my soul desires, with the wishes, and with the moment now.
Even when we're stuck in traffic.
Even when I'm stuck in traffic.
Look, okay, you know, for me, when I meet somebody who has a methodology,
Yeah.
they've obviously probably got to that methodology because of many different modalities, right? Because we need to structure it in such a way that we can present something into the world. I can't present 1,000 modalities, right? Here I have 1,000, you know, which one do you want to choose? It's the journey of unlocking something within ourselves, right? That we've mirrored. We're creating this reality. For me, I've been through all the personal development stuff pretty much. Then I went through different type of breathing formalities, and then NLP, and then it was plant medicines, and then it was, you know, the Hoffman Institute, then it was this Vipassana this year, you know, the whole journey of, you know, confronting my deepest fears, to actually experience all of them, to come to a place of realization for myself, right? In the other podcasts I've done before, I was still seeking. I was still living out of fear. I was still in the new earth, in the old earth, right? Something shifted because I've embraced my deepest fears. And I can't say it's a game or something like this because that didn't come into my reality. It's only coming to my reality now. For you, what was your journey? And then we'll go into like what this is and how to take people on this path, right? But before you know, using this modality, what other modalities did you go through to land here, or did you not, or did you just land on that modality and use that modality when you were 15? Or you see what I mean? What?
Yeah.
Is it just that, or did you do all these other things that I just described?
I did all the other things.
Okay.
If we measure life from the point of view that there is something bad and there is something good, then we are in the delusion that we are living. When we coming to the edge or coming to the state where we understand that everything happens for us, to understand and to look back and to say, oh, there was a good time, to be honest. Whatever experience, because I was born in the small city somewhere in the mid of Ural in Russia, where winter time is -40, where there was 90s, very hard time for, you know, lots of gangs, lots of you know, masculine energy, and myself as a mediator. I was always a mediator. I was always in between, like a diplomatic way, merging with compassion, understanding the people's nature. I was a mediator between. And for me, now I understand that everything happened, and the place I was born, and the time I was born, created for me. Because everything I experienced there allows me to become myself. I went through lots of modalities, as you said. Not taking like hard drugs or something, but I was going through ayahuasca. I was going through spiritual practices related to the breathing. I was going through the spiritual old Vedic practices. If you know, there was the Arias, which brings Vedas, Vedas means knowledge, to the region of Russia, the current Russian Federation. And all this part was where the Aryas lives before they went more down. So all this knowledge I experienced by myself. Different modalities which showed me that there is definitely something more than the logic and mind. There is definitely something more than just, normal medicine, or we can touch. There is energy, there is frequency, there is different realities. There is a time difference. For one person, this moment or this minute can last forever. For me, it can be just 1 second. Depends on our inner readiness or our plan for this incarnation. We go through different things, and myself, not an exception. I went through different modalities. I tried a lot, and then when I found this knowledge, I understood that here you connect your consciousness with your higher consciousness, going through subconsciousness, and then in the end, you're also connecting your willingness. You are not detaching yourself, you're not detaching body from your mind, from your consciousness, as like we do it in some other practices. You are uniting yourself, not separating. That was, for me, a miracle. A miracle to understand that there is no separation. The more we are trying to put our anger inside of the black room to not let it out, the more this anger will be strong and blow up one day.
You know, I've been talking about that recently, and this is where I'm going to take people on a journey, because we are actually responsible for the violence, for the wars that are happening around the world, because as a collective, we are suppressing our rage, because we're trapped in this paradigm of the old earth. And because we're trapped and we can't be our authentic selves, we have to suppress. And the more, whatever we suppress as a collective has to be expressed globally in some way, because duality, whatever's suppressed needs to be expressed. Yeah. So it comes out, you know, here and there around the world, because we're all collectively suppressing something. And it expresses itself violently, because if we're suppressing rage, it's got to come out the other side. Yeah. So absolutely, we have our individual responsibility, and as a collective, we can actually make this shift from the old earth to the new earth that everybody's been praying and talking about. And it's whatever modality, obviously, that you are going to share shortly, that's going to resonate with somebody and go, you know what, that's fantastic. But you have also done many modalities that have led you to this place. So why have you landed here when you've had so many other modalities that have also been part of your journey? Because you could be an ayahuasca teacher, you could be whatever else you've done, right? But why this?
There are several reasons for that. And I would not say it was just like this when I decided. No. It was a way to fall in love with myself. Leela, from Sanskrit, translated as a game of gods. The whole idea and what I see every time and what I feel every time after the process, after the session which I provide, is complete love and blessingness and gratefulness to the source of the energy, to us as a part of this source, where this source acknowledges himself through us inside this journey of life. I would not say there was like a moment where I realized that I want to do Leela, or only Leela. I just do it because I see how the sparks are shining, how the lives are changing, how the people are changing. Not because of me, because of themselves. Because there, in this journey, they found themselves in the mirror. It's literally the mirror of the unique life of every one of us. Depends on the journey which we have, there will be a different ways how we go through it, different patterns which will be highlighted. And it's not depend on me. I'm not ruling, I'm not I'm not ruling the dice. The dice itself shows on the canvas the life patterns. And when I realized that this is about me, I was so much surprised, because I was finding that that's what I was trying to find outside the mind, outside the physics, outside some logic, you know. Nobody knows these things which where I entered the first time I discovered. Nobody knows, only myself. And then, without exception, inside the process, every person who allow himself to enter will find his truth and himself. And that's where it's very important to be honest and open with ourselves during the process. So for me, the moment to decide to engage with this knowledge was that I realized, and I've seen myself, not only on my experience, but the experience of other people, that this really kind of instruction to the human being life. If you see on the canvas, there is a human being sitting, and 7 chakras, Ida and Pingala, masculine and feminine, all the meridians, all the levels of chakras, all the bodies, everything is there. It's kind of small map where you can sit at home even by yourself if you engage with it, and you can go through it, and you can ask the question and get the answer. The answer is inside. But we, most of the times, do not give it.
We don't know how to get to that place within. So this is a modality that is a mirror. Yeah. It makes me feel like there's a connection to like family constellation. Because you know when we do family constellation, if you've ever done family constellation.
I did.
I had a profound experience many years ago where I moved certain people who are a representation of my family, and I didn't know, my subconscious knew what was going on. Like, this person here, why is my father over there in the corner? Why is my mum here? Why is my, you know, my younger brothers are way over there. It's like, why? And then the facilitator asks each person a question, and it's like they're channeling each family member. And I'm like, sorry, what? What is going on here, you know? There's something within the electromagnetic field, within ourselves, something of a divine presence. Like you said, the dice, you know, it's not about you. You're not fate.
Yeah.
You are the messenger.
Yeah.
To allow people to meet themselves through the Leela experience.
Exactly.
And then they, ultimately, it's a mirror, you know, like a tarot card or whatever it is, you know, it's just a mirror of that person energetically. So when they roll that dice or how it's going to go, whatever comes up is just going to be themselves. Their subconscious is already operating because it's connected to the, you know, the divine, let's say, the collective consciousness as well. And as it comes through, this game starts speaking back to them. Something that they didn't know how to process and, you know, they didn't know within themselves. So it basically is like a tool that allows them to connect to their higher self through the game, back to themselves again.
Yeah.
To untangle whatever is going on within them.
Yeah, without hard experience, without cleanings of the body, without all these procedures, which most of the times are going through with some other experiences. Here, you came, You just engage with this process, with the session. You just allocate the time required for it. The first rule or the main rule of Leela is the started process has to be ended. No matter today, tomorrow, after tomorrow, if you enter the process, you are like on the surgery. And the surgery has to be finished.
It's like Jumanji.
Yes.
Once you start, you're in the game. It's like, whoa, what has happened? When does it end? Well, look, you know, this is also something that I want to segue into the potentiality that this will be incorporated in New Earth. So before we get into the game and some other things, that people can potentially come and join you here, right?
Yes.
And start this journey at the New Earth Cafe. And I know you have a place, other places to do it from.
Yeah.
But for those who want to like come together and start this Jumanji type thing and open this, you know, new reality, we will offer that to anybody who's interested in like going, oh, I want to meet myself through this new like modality, you know, me too, you know, I want to have this experience. What kind of thing can people expect to find when they open and start the game? You know, what is it that people usually meet about themselves, and what can they get from this that they usually don't find from some other modality?
I want to be very honest and open with all our guests and with you. There is nothing we can open if we are closed. The first thing is, if you really want to find something, you need to allow yourself to be open for the things which are happening. What Leela allows, if or when you decided to go into this experience, in the moment, here and now, there is something which, if we do, most of the times we know, but we are not listening of our inner voice, which is sometimes screaming, shouting, sometimes whispering already. We are thinking that our mind is more important, or our thoughts, or something else, but not the inner voice. Leela allows to look into this inner voice and to listen and to honestly look into the consequences of the choices. The patterns which will play shows us the consequences and shows us what could happen if I choose this, what could happen if I do this. By engaging ourselves with this inner voice, person will not end the process until he will, or her, or she, or he will allow himself or herself to honestly listen to this inner voice and act as we already know how it needs to be acted, how we need to be doing things.
So who's this game for? Because like you said, it's for those who are open. I can only say that if somebody comes along now and sits down to play the game, they're as open as they can be because they've opened themselves up to play.
Yeah.
Now, the whole point of this game or any modality is because we're closed to some part of ourselves. And the whole point of the game is to help open us up like a flower to bloom.
Yeah.
And they may be closed, but this is to lead them to keep opening and opening and opening, right? So it's ultimately, are you willing to play the game and surrender to each moment, to whatever comes up, and being honest with yourself, to whatever comes up, not to judge it, not to shame it. It's to bring light to the darkest parts of ourselves. Is that what this game ultimately does? Okay.
Yes. Without judging, without advices, without my experience of life, without anyone's experience of life, the person meet himself in this process. When I was saying about the closed and opened, I was meaning that even though right now we are closed, for example, we are coming to the process find the answer, or to find the way how to go out from this, because something already we want to do without the wish of the person, it will be useless. If I don't want to go inside the process, I should not go.
It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you can take ayahuasca, and if you're not ready and willing, you can put your heels in, and the medicine won't come in because we're not willing to surrender, even to medicine, to whatever it might be, right? No matter what the modality is, if we're not open, and then we can blame the modality, but really, truly, a lot of us can be closed. Yet, they also want to open, but it's because the ego is like a negotiator between the conscious and the unconscious, the light and the dark. A negotiator like, whoa, 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 hold on, hold on. Okay, what do you want to show me? Because imagine that light comes in, the conscious meets the unconscious, and then the ego's thinking, but if I then realize something, then I have to change my life because then I realize I'm inauthentic. And if I then become authentic, then I might lose all that comfort and security. No, 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 no. I'm not willing to go there. You know, the ego's going to negotiate, bargain, right? Yeah. Between the conscious and the unconscious. And the whole point of these modalities is because it's bringing the consciousness to the unconscious. It's bringing light to the dark, right? And it's depending on our capacity of our willingness to allow the light to meet the dark.
Yes.
And there are certain modalities that people go, you know what, I can handle this. Ayahuasca, I'm not ready. Because if they do ayahuasca, they really put their heels in because the ego and the fear, it's too much consciousness meeting the dark very quickly. Yeah. But a game like this can be a process. And you know what? The ego goes, I can handle a game. I can handle step by step. And so each moment, the ego is like, okay, relaxes, like the amygdala, right?
Yes.
So then suddenly the conscious meet the unconscious, and they're meeting themselves in a way that is unique for them.
Yes.
That is aligned to their way, their frequency, their speed, right? Because that's ultimately what it is. You're speaking to the negotiator and go, look, this is just a game.
Yes.
Roll the dice, play. Ayahuasca, no, 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 thank you, you know. But people need like different modalities to kind of slip them in, right? Yeah. Some people go to a Tony Robbins event, you know. Some people do a Hoffman Institute. Some people do, you know, want to learn about NLP from a book, and they practice on themselves, right? Everybody has this sort of, you know, it's just trusting themselves and their capacity where they are at that time. And so it feels like this game is like, here is something. It's just a game, right? It's just, you know, it's an ancient Vedic process from India. Yeah. You know, have done many modalities, but you see there's something that aligns you to this, that you've taken other people on a journey and they're getting results. Yeah. That means that they feel safe. Yeah. To allow the conscious to meet the unconscious. Yeah. And their ego's not negotiating as much.
Yes.
Ultimately. And it's basically for everybody and anybody.
Sometimes after 8 hours of trying to enter the process, ego make the hands up and surrendering. That's how it.
No, after 8 hours, yeah.
For example, I'm talking like.
Of course, everybody's unique, and I think you know, if we're looking to put this together, we'll you know, if we're going to once we put it here in the UF Cafe and people can come along, we'll make it a process that is either one shot or space it out. Right? A certain, maybe once a week. Yeah. Right? So that people can kind of come back, live it for a bit, come back. Right? Because sometimes it can be quite overwhelming, like 8 hours straight, you know, but like you said, at some point the ego surrenders. Yes. And that's the whole point of all these modalities. If your ego doesn't surrender, we'll always feel like we need to operate from a place of fear. Yeah. Right? Because it's like, it's too much, too much. And, you know, it's a process for everybody, right? It's just the way it is, you know. So how does it look? What can you share about this that people go, okay, what is this all about really?
First, about the idea to meet weekly and start the process and go inside the process, which I like very much. When we discuss with you this idea, this kind of modality of the modality, the option of the modality. There was several people who comes, usually all of my guests, they finish in one day, but sometimes people cannot finish in one day. Not happening after 14 hours, 19 hours. And then we stop, we go to live the life with something which already highlighted, and we come back after certain period of time, 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 days, whatever. 100% of the cases when people comes back and they live through this time with whatever they understood, whatever they took from the process, they finish the process in 1 or 2 rolls of the dice. It shows how the reality merged with whatever was highlighted to them when they started, and they understood. And the beauty of Leela, that even though you are not always understood inside the moment, if you go to live the life, life will start to accumulate all what was said in life and start to attract the situations, people, everything will work for the person to understand what was this about. So this idea of having the weekly sessions, which will be part of the whole process, allows people to come, get some messages for this week or for today or for tomorrow, leave with it, come back and understand or to see how the patterns changed.
See, I like that because, you know, it gives them time to integrate certain lessons.
Yeah.
Like for me, I've many seminars I've done, many retreats, like all of these things, and they're usually intense because it's a certain like weekend, week, whatever it might be. Like the 12 steps though, program is 12 steps, like climbing a mountain that can take somebody a year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, depending on the person playing the game.
Yeah.
Playing, like climbing their Mount Everest. It's their own Mount Everest. It's up to them what purpose or why they have that drives them. Some people fall off and they don't, and they come back going, I have to start again. Like snakes and ladders, right?
Yeah.
That's the 12 steps to help people who have an addiction that they just can't break, and they need a power greater than themselves to intervene because they know they just can't break it, you know, consciously. So I like that because then you get to live it, the experience of going through this process. So having people playing this game within, you know, a space of a month, let's say, where they come with other people they're just going to meet and go, wow, like, you know, have food, drinks, new earth, you know, and enjoy the experience, because ultimately it's a game.
Yeah.
And it's about enjoying. And I'm assuming this is why you chose this modality, because, you know, you can watch people, you know, meet themselves through a game that's helped you meet yourself. And everyone can come and it's like the inner child is also, you know, taking part. Because obviously we grew up with games, and a lot of us, you know, maybe not play as many games as we used to anymore.
Yeah. Exactly. We all need love. We all need games. We came here to enjoy. We came here to love whatever is coming to us and love whatever we do. Because God is love and love is God.
Yeah, agreed. So looking at anybody who would just say, sit down. If they're about to sit down, they come to the cafe and they go, all right, what happens next? Yeah. What would you describe? What's the process?
Yes. So we do first the alignment, a small meditation, which allows us to connect with ourselves, slow down a bit from whatever we have from the outside of new earth, and then
You want to do a meditation now?
This is part of the whole process. So if we are going to start the process...
All right, then we're in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, well then maybe not kick off the Jumanji for everybody who's not signed up for the game yet.
Exactly.
But then again, right, isn't that what you want at the same time? To activate so people are starting to play the game? Thanks, man.
No problem. We can do the meditation, but just first let's finish the sequence.
Yep.
And then we can do the meditation or to
whatever works for you.
Record it and give it to people.
Whatever works for you. So sequence is they get aligned with a meditation. Yeah.
Get aligned, calm down, meditate, connect with at least a little bit with the inner voice, and then we start to form the intention. Form the intention what we want to get today from Leela. The person step into cell number 68, which is Vaikuntha Loka, which is the highest consciousness, or our home. And rolling the dice, saying the intention which person wants to understand, or the answer which the person cannot find the answer for the question. And then once 6 comes on the dice, it means that this intention is what is important. Most of the times we have different questions unanswered about the finance, about our social life, about our...
the 7 areas of life.
Yeah, but there will be one which will allow to enter. And most of the times, this question, once person finds the answer, release all others and makes all others completed automatically. So this one intention will be formed during the start of the process, and then person enter inside the process, inside the Leela canvas, going rolling the dice, going through the canvas, up and down. Canvas will show the patterns. Myself as a facilitator, as a guide, as a person who knows the Sanskrit terms from this canvas, I'm opening the meaning, depend on the intention. Connecting the intention with the steps, patterns, and meanings of each cell between each other. That's how the guest can understand what it is about. And we make some dialogues. If opened mind already and the person is ready, we talk about it. And we find out in the end the key which allows to complete the process, to end the process, and which most of the times the answer to the question which was asked. It could be 2 hours, could be 4 hours, could be 12 hours. It doesn't matter. The time here is very subjective. Then we finish the process and person goes to live the life, implementing whatever he get from the session. I assure you 100% that every time each guest who finished the game, the life will start to attract, will start to build another reality, because the subconscious and consciousness already worked inside the game, and the action and intentions changed from the inside.
Without having to do anything consciously. It's already happened, right?
Yeah.
Because what I realized, going back to ayahuasca, when I opened my eyes, because there was so much going on in the inside, I opened my eyes and I saw a grid. And I saw like mirrors. I couldn't see beyond the mirror. I knew there were people behind, but all I could see was this mirror. I was like, what is... It just... like, am I actually awake right now? I think I'm awake, and this is actually what reality is, but then I'm back to sleep when it wears off. So if everything's like a grid, a nice sort of matrix and everything else, you know, if it's a mirror, then obviously, you know, what we're looking at is a projection of ourselves. You know, I'm looking at you and I'm projecting whatever I have within myself onto you, and that mirrors back to me, right? So every modality is ultimately a mirror. It's just a mirror, but, you know, one mirror is different from another mirror.
Yes.
And each one is showing a reflection of ourselves, you know, from family constellation, plant medicines, personal development, and now we've got the Leela Experience, which is just another mirror, a form that we get to recognize ourselves through this modality. I'm intrigued to give it a go from a different space that I feel like I'm from, not from the place of seeking, but from the place of intrigue, you know? Not looking for the answers, but just to see and experience another mirror that has been presented to me. And what am I willing to see within myself? Instead of looking for confirmation or, you know, am I worthy, am I enough, or something like that? But if I already know that, what is it going to mirror to me? What is my higher self going to speak to me? Is it going to affirm something? Like I had an experience on Sunday, I was resistant because I'm putting this webinar together, this course, this thing has just come through. And on the Sunday, I kind of crashed because I'd been channeling so much, it wouldn't let me sleep. 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 in the morning, it would wake me up and I'd be first meditate, downloading, and then I'd be writing everything because I didn't want to use my phone at that time, you know, the blue screen. I'd be writing. And then I crashed on Sunday, but I needed a sign, something to talk to me. And a friend said, why don't you pick up a card? And I picked up an oracle card. And the hour before me picking that card up, I was looking for vines, you know, like vines, like you know, from hell. Because I'm designing the emblem that we have, the New Earth emblem, that the vines, there's New Earth and then the Old Earth. And it was about the vines coming up and, you know, crushing, you know, where I used to be. That's how I used to feel. So I picked up the card, and I'm going to show it on this. That was the card I picked up an hour after searching. And it's a picture, and it says regeneration, I think it is. And it's got these like lava and these vines coming out of the lava. I was like, how? And I was looking for a sign, and regeneration was all about rebirth, second chances, new opportunities. And I was like, this is exactly where my life is right now. And I started reading what it meant, and it was just, it blew my mind. You know, you look for a sign and then boom, there it comes. You know, it's there. It really is truly there. When we get ourselves out of the way through these many different modalities and we're open and the ego doesn't need to negotiate anymore, and we actually surrender to the flow of life by not being attached like the SAD method, you know, dependent, attached. We no longer need to suppress ourselves. We're now in the flow of life, and it takes us, and we start to see the miracles and the synchronicities, and we just start to join the dots and go, wow, what a universal divine force that is guiding all of our lives. And the reason we don't see it is because we've been conditioned in a way not to. But when we wake up, we realize it's all there, and then we go, oh, there's nothing I need to do to justify my own existence. I am enough as I am because life supports that. It's me with my own death urge, because of my conditioning, the pain and the suffering that I've got going on in myself, the trauma and all that sort of stuff, that is sabotaging myself. When life is saying, love, we love every moment. But it's very difficult to be present when we have all this stuff going on inside of us. That's parts of us that are locked in the past, screaming, but we don't know how to unlock them. They're just locked in a basement, and we don't know how to get them out. And yet, you know, we suppress, we become addicts, you know, we do anything we can to distract ourselves from that uncomfortable feeling, right? And we use comfort as a tool because we're uncomfortable within. But when you're truly comfortable within, I could lie on a rock and be like, I feel so comfortable. Because there's nothing that's edging me that makes me, you know, because there's nothing inside me that feels that way. And then if I've got that really uncomfortable, which I've been, Doesn't matter what 5-star island in the Maldives, whatever.
Yeah.
If I'm not comfortable inside, I'll look for something because I'm uncomfortable. No matter what the comfort is, I'll still be uncomfortable. And my demands, my expectations, and I'm become entitled, like many people are, especially in Dubai, this opulence, this, you know, because really they're uncomfortable and they're all coming here to be nurtured like screaming babies because they're in pain. And so if we don't do the work looking within, then we're looking for Mother Nature to make us comfortable. And I say Mother Nature as in it costs Mother Nature, because to be comfortable is at a cost, because we have to tear up the planet, we have to tear down trees, we have to do whatever it is because we are deeply uncomfortable with whatever's going on within us.
Exactly. Exactly. And then we are trying to find the way how to bring ourselves to at least some comfort, or how to bring ourselves to ourselves, and then to understand that this discomfort is a part of the journey. I agree.
What is it you can share with us that maybe you haven't shared before? To put you on the spot. Maybe something about your journey of transformation, because usually people have shame and guilt suppressed deep down from childhood or something that becomes a snowball effect, and a magnet attracts more and more, and, you know,
What
keeps us trapped in this endless loop.
Fortunately, I met a lot of people who do the different spiritual practices. Fortunately, I had a lot of experience with the people who was thinking they are spiritual and the rest are not. Fortunately, I get this inner sensor which allows me to understand that spirituality is not the superiority, is something which in all of us exists. And that's where everyone who going to any practice should remember that, as you said, when I come to you to some practice, it means you are mirroring me, what's inside of me already exists. Just for me to remember through this mirror what I already have. And that's important to remember, that there is no kind of superior guru who can open the eyes. There are us who are ready to listen. And that's what's coming from the inside. Be ready to listen. Believe that if you already feeling that you need to go and experience something, go and experience it. Believe if you have this impulse from the inside to do something, to create something, in this moment you have all the resources to make it happen. Don't wait for the next moment, certificate, better myself, Monday to start. Start now.
It's funny, I mean, it's absolutely, because it all links to the justification that somehow as soon as we're on this planet, that we now need to justify our worth because what we grew up with was conditional love. You know, the way of being brought up that's been passed down is that, you know, we need to justify ourselves by doing. And we built this whole society on the doing rather than being. And so we then look to the next guru to help us get to be whilst they're teaching us to do.
Yes.
And then we never feel enough because there's usually an exchange with a guru. Money in some way needs to be exchanged, which we then make it conditional love. And then we put them as an authority because our parents were an authority. And that guru, then we project our parents onto them. an authority, right?
Yeah.
And then we're in this duality. We'll never get out of it if we keep seeking and paying our way out of the old earth. That's the trap.
Yeah.
It's only unconditional love that then we embrace, that we can truly, fully integrate and make that step into the new earth, because most of us and all of us will only ever experience conditional love in some way. There's always a condition.
And from my point of view, the vibrations or frequency of the new earth, or the people who already feeling it, the tool for it is our feelings. The more you use feelings more than the mind or logic, the more you engaged with the new reality and the new frequency and the new vibrations and the new earth.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I'll be straight up with you, you know. Like this podcast we're doing in the cafe. Now, I'm in this place now, my wife, you know, and I created this place, and it was from her wealth, you know, let's call it, that's basically put into this place, and I put everything that I possibly had into it. So in order to run something like this, it costs money. And we'd have to sell like 100 or 1,000 smoothies to justify this cost, which would bleed out the cafe. So we have to now, you know, charge, right? Put a price on it, which goes against me. But because it's a business, I cannot be truly authentic because it's the old earth model. So there's a charge in order to keep this going because, you know, it's just the way business is, right? For me personally, it's about, you know, making it unconditional love, right? It's not about an exchange of money. But because there's a business, if we didn't do something like this, then the cafe may not run anymore, right? But the new earth that I'm building, you know, and this webinar that leads into all these other things is going to be unconditional love, because that aligns to who I truly am. Yeah. Because if I start charging people, for me, like outside of the cafe, you know, then I put myself in a position of power to some degree, or an authority, whatever it might be, and I make it conditional, right? Because that is the old earth paradigm. But if I open up for people to say, well, contribute what you feel it's worth, or you feel it's valued, then it puts them in this place of, well, if I'm living this, and I come from a place of gratitude, and then I express that and show that, then I know that person who's asking is coming from the divine source. He's not coming from the old earth mentality of needing to charge, or scarcity, whatever it might be. Yeah. You see what I mean? Yeah. So I'm in this place right now, you know, this dichotomy of, you know, here I am. But this is what my experience has led me to, for me to recognize that, for me to align to the divine, to meet my true self. This is my higher self. The way to step out of the old earth is to trust in the divine will take care of all my needs. And it's going to show up when people go on this journey with me, you know, in this way. And potentially maybe there's something we can do regards to that experience here at the cafe. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. However, it's your call because it's your time. But if people value it and they experience something, who are we to put a limit on it? Yeah. They might just go, because each person is unique for them. The whole point is that let them meet themselves, and who are they? How generous are they? Yeah. How happy are they to meet themselves, you know? And from that place, maybe we'll see a deeper transformation.
Yes. I agree with you 100% that we are yet, even though somehow understand ourselves a little bit, we are still in the system, in the material world.
The matrix.
And, whatever call it, but you can feel different things about it. You can feel anger, you can be sad, disappointed, but it's reality. When we detach ourselves from the reality we are living in, it means we are lying to ourselves and living in the illusion. Despite on the fact that all of this is illusion anyways. Now I'm talking about the reality and how we merge the reality with our fantasies. If we are living in the fantasies or we are living in the reality. we still need money for us to make our families and life stable, or at least floating in some level. We still have a law of the universe, of the energy sharing. There will be a time, I'm sure about it, there will be a time there all of us as a masters will do the things which we came to do, and we will exchange the different, or we share the different things with each other, allowing ourselves to have our house, some food on our ground, and live our life providing or sharing with the people the gifts which we have, and still the energy exchange will be there. Another manner, maybe another form of money or another form of the natural exchange, but still the first law of the universe is the energy is not disappearing. Energy is floating, exchanging. So the more we engaged with this law, the more we agreed with what's happening is the reality, and not, you know, there are different levels of that. If we just doing everything, going to achieve like amount of money which we want to achieve. Lots of people are trying to become a millionaires without understanding what does it mean. If it's only about the money, it's delusion. If we understand the law of the energy exchange and the law of the universe, it means we just doing something which brings us, attract another resources. And I believe the reality and our eyes projecting this reality should be real for us.
Well, you know, there's, and I agree with you that, you know, I myself have fantasized, because reality for me was very difficult when I was young. So I created this fantasy for myself as a kid to escape from reality, because at least in my fantasy, I could live in this illusion that there was only pleasure and no pain.
Yes.
But in reality, you cannot separate the two. But in my fantasy, I can get high on an illusion, because reality was just very difficult. So I had to escape. And then that was my whole life, right? I didn't want to accept reality for what it was. So I'd always create some fantasy that was so much better, right, than my reality. And then I'd have to crash down back to the earth in some way, right? Because that's just what needs to happen. Until I started to realize it's safe to come back into my body. It's safe to land. And the more I started to land, the more I found serenity within myself. Now, I understand that my fear was, oh, no, I'm in the situation where I have to work again. Yeah. Oh, no, like before I was in survival, I was coaching people because I felt like I had to do it. All right, I was coaching people, whatever else. Was I enjoying the process? Some people I was, some people it was just tough work, right? Hard work, that's what I felt like I've always known. Chores, you know, it was like growing up, I had to, you know, it was like chores. Chores, you know, all the time, chores, just to, you know, live. Fun was kind of sucked out in some way until I met alcohol at a young age, and then it was other drugs and, you know, then nightclubs, mischief days, literally called mischief. But now in this place, I've come to this realization that I understand when we're in the old earth, we need to exchange energy. If you're working for oil and gas, you're going to get paid. All right, you're not doing it. I'll do it and see what you think of value, right? Because that's just the old earth. However, our modality, or what is given to us by the divine, you know, is coming through us. We're like the waiter, like, you know, here's the service, here you go. Now, it's not because we want to make money so that we'd stop doing that. Yeah. You know, I think the quote from Krishna to Arjuna was something like, it's about, you get to enjoy the work of your labor, not the fruits of your labor. Yes. Right? It's about enjoying the process, not what you get out of it afterwards. Yeah. Because that's when I was a coach, I was looking to get the fruits, right? Because I was an addict at that time and I was going through my own stuff and yada, yada, yada. So I felt like I was always caught in this sankara wheel of suffering, right? And I thought, if I create evergreen products, if I do this, then I won't have to work. And then I attracted my wife, my new life, and I didn't have to work in that way, but I did have to work. It was a different type of work. And now I found myself in a position where I have to again. But I don't have to in the old way. What's coming through me is not the old earth. The only way is to be of service from the divine coming through me and saying, here you are. Unconditional. I'm not charging anything, because who am I to limit that? What? Something comes through me and it's a gift. Buddha didn't charge for his services. Yeah. Jesus didn't go out there and go, I found the kingdom within. That would be 500 quid, please. Mm-hmm. You know, it was divine because they felt fulfilled. If they charged, they'd be trapped in the old earth. Yeah. That's the shift to perception. And it happens now because you have something that older me is like, this is what I love to do. I'm not looking to get the fruits of my labor from this. This is just what I love to do all the time. Yeah. So then when you align to that and people go, God, he truly does love it. If you put a charge on it though, there can be a disruption because of scarcity or something. I'm just bringing out a new awareness that I'm feeling for myself, that you then allow it. Because you already have your old earth stuff that you need to depend on. But then there's the other side of it that's like open to all who want to go, and how do they appreciate it, you know?
There are a few points in this. Yes, I'm doing the processes for the nation frequently. And there is one trap for the people who are seeing these donation-based processes, and they comes and they are not willing to share the energy after the process. And this will be destructive for them and for the guide, for the facilitator. If and when we do not merge with the reality, because, you know, for example, take Tony Robinson or whoever, what is the exchange for the value? Everybody understands the value, that's why they are ready to share. They share their energy. Their energy is what they do in their old earth style, earning the money. This is kind of exchange to their time which they are spending. And then they are sharing this energy and they get more than they shared. The law of the energy sharing is you give first and then you receive back. So from this perspective, if I do it only with open heart, I'm doing it with the open heart. I love to do it. I can do it with whoever, anytime, for money, without money, doesn't matter for me. But understanding the law of the energy exchange and the universe, I prefer to give people some measurement of the value, and I let it decide to them if they are ready to share more or not. There are, like, as you said, rent of the place, whatever expenses which are there, which I'm charging for. And the rest is whatever people are ready to give in addition to what they get. But the trick is, you remember this, I don't know if you saw this picture when the small girl with the small bear and the Jesus or the God in front of her, hiding the big bear behind himself. And he is saying, give it to me and I will give you another one. And the moment we are ready to give this small bear, this is the moment where we get more or what we desire or what we deserve.
Also, it could be the same to us, as in me now on the other side with my new earth, let's call it. I say my new earth, like the new earth that's coming through me, and I'm offering my services, let's say, and I say, God's saying to me, like the divine spoke to me and said, you can't charge for this. That's me basically saying, give me this and watch what's going to happen.
Yes.
So there's the other side from that perspective, that I'm having to let go of something to allow something even more into my life, which is trusting the divine completely.
Yeah.
Now, I get it. When you have costs and things like that, you kind of have to be a bit like logical and reasonable where you're at.
Yeah.
But if there wasn't a cost to anything, how about then?
It's free.
Well, then, if you were doing it in the New Earth Cafe,
Yeah.
would you then open it up for people to do a donation?
Yeah. Of course.
There you go. And then we allow the divine to step in, because you're absolutely spot on. If somebody goes through a whole process and at the end of it, they don't want to give anything, did the process really work? Otherwise, they missed the whole point.
Yeah.
Because if they don't feel like I'm inspired, I meet my true self, I'm feeling this energy, then they're not truly out in your old earth. It's just an illusion. If they truly felt appreciated, they would go, you know, there's a fair exchange. They'll go, you know what, this is what I found of value. And then you start to see, wow, there's a certain, I'm not capping it with my own limited thoughts. Somebody could come in and go, here, boom. Somebody else go, but to them, that's a lot. Who are we to say, and this is what I've noticed, and this is what's coming through at the moment, you know. And I guess I'm going to be the guinea pig in like my time and energy when I'm putting out there, because that's the new earth. I see it's unconditional love. And online, yes, there are certain costs, blah, blah, blah. But I believe, and I truly see that people will align to that. And what value they feel, they'll give what they can. And the more they do so, the less dependent they are on the old earth. And the more they're confirming and planting a seed for the new earth to sprout within them. So sounds like we've got some agreement here.
It's easy. It's easy to apply. It's easy to do. It depends on the space. If the space is ready, we share whatever we have, the gifts for the nation. The nation means the person who comes defines the value of the session, of the process. And that's all with you.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I did.
But you did.
Yeah. Like it just came through. Like let's be miraculously surprised.
That's exactly what I do. That's exactly how my way started. I didn't charge for it because I love to do it. I see what's happening. I feel that that's what gives people hope that there is not only the things which they see right now, there is something more. And this more, they can touch it now. And this more, possible to expand, possible to develop.
Well, I feel, I feel like this needed to happen. And I really truly believe that people who find something valuable, they will give as a thank you, because you're giving them the choice that they get to do it rather than have to do it. And when then they feel there's you coming from a place of service in that way, it opens up to a higher channel for them to have a deeper experience, because you're doing it out of love for the as Krishna said, right? Yeah. It's not for the fruits of the labor, it's the labor of your work. And you'll see even more come back. Let's see. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Brother, thank you so much for coming on to this. It's, I know it's not your native language, English, but you did truly incredibly well. I know you're a little bit like, Alex, don't talk too fast, but I am a fast talker. But you did truly incredibly well to express yourself, describe the game. It's got me extremely intrigued, and I'm sure other people watching this who are in Dubai would love to take part. So we're going to post this, and then anybody who's interested can reach out, and then we can set up the date once we've got enough juice, enough people registered, and then we'll just take him on a journey.
Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to talk. Thank you for the questions which you asked. I found it hard to explain in the words what Leela is, but I hope with your help and with the questions which you ask and with the dialogue which we had today, somehow it will open at least a part of it, at least a small part of it, which will allow people to engage themselves with themselves, at least to allow to enter their inner voice and to start to listen and to come, to allow this, themselves to come to experience it. And this will be the first step.
Well, the seed has been planted. Now it all comes down to this. Are you ready to play the game? If you are, you know where to find us. And we can play this game together, and let's see what unfolds within us as we do so. Brother, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Love the energy. And yeah, anybody, obviously feel free to comment, reach out. How can people find you, Anton?
We will share the
Okay.
contacts.
We'll put it all in there.
We put it on the New Earth Cafe. I have Instagram account.
What's your Instagram?
Mystery of Leela.
Mystery
Mystery of
of
Leela.
Leela. So mystery, O-F, as in of, and Leela, L-E-E-L-A.
You will see my face there. You will understand.
You'll know, you'll see it. Okay, brother, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for catching us, watching us, embracing this whole experience. Looking forward to sharing. I'm sure I will do a video once I've come through the game and what I've experienced from it.
Yeah.
And then if it becomes a popular thing, we just keep playing the game here at the cafe.
Yeah.
There's no cost for you. So there's no worry. You just show up,
Yeah.
and then we'll let the rest take care of itself.
Easy. We have a deal.
Hey, the divine has just stepped in. All right, brother. Ciao, guys. We vibe when you subscribe.